My name is Wachuka.
And I am Wanjiru Koinange.
And we signed on behalf of Bunk Books.
And Bunk.
The city that we're working in, Nairobi, was very affected by the lockdown and the shutdown and the pandemic. So in fact, the lockdown has just been lifted. It's only just been a week. And during that time, not all kids could go to school, but also not all kids could access alternative ways of learning, including access to digital formats of things, and also the data that's required to access those learning materials. So this stage was very important for us because we were able to actually reach out to the communities that we work with and to cater to the specific needs that we were seeing emerging at this time.
I think the one thing this season, this long, kind of unpredictable season has taught us is that we all kind of want the same things. We all want access to the things that inspire us. We all want to feel dignified and respected. And in the midst of the pandemic, when everybody was, for the first time in I think a really long time, the entire world was going through the exact same thing, and we just saw how similar we are and how regardless of race or economies or what country you come from, we all kind of went through it together. And that is unifying in a way that I think we'll be sitting with for a really long time, for years and years to come. But it also showed us that we're all prone to the same things, and the only way we can get the things we want is if we all kind of put our backs in it together, because we'll be doing it for hundreds of years if we're doing it alone. But if we kind of combine forces, then we can begin to live in a world where dignity is more of a priority, and pulling people apart is less of a thing that's happening, which has been the case for as long as I can remember. I think there's a lot of opportunities with language. Especially prioritizing our own languages, because in Kenya, for instance, we have over 40 languages, but we only prioritize 2, English and Kiswahili. And what does that say about the hierarchy of importance we give English, which is a very colonial language, over our own? I've always had a specific irritation with the fact that we put our English names first in Kenya. I'm like, what are we saying about our own sense of self and identity when we put others first? I think publishing has a really important way of using language to center who we are, and not kind of discrediting everything else, but centering ourselves first. That way we can see ourselves more accurately and then begin to see the world in a more balanced view.
A big one for me would be technology. Technology, I think we've seen, especially in our part of the world, has given us such a huge opportunity to leapfrog so many stages that I think if you think of the kind of traditional way of viewing things, where you start with industrialization and then you go to stage B, stage C, stage D, and so on and so forth, technology in our part of the world has been able to completely zoom us forward into stages, I think, that have taken what we call the industrialized world, in some cases, centuries.
Yeah. And there's a really beautiful conversation we're having today about, in the past we've been getting to homes via the West, and now it seems like this beautiful thing is happening where we're just like, okay, hang on, let's go south to south first. Let's kind of see what the Middle East is doing and what India is doing, and let's kind of form our relationships kind of sideways first, and then we can rise up together and begin to compete with the people who have in the past been like the big dogs of the scene. And I really, really appreciate that we're beginning to look at our peers for knowledge, and that's probably my favorite thing about this particular season.
Yes.
That there's more south to south collaboration happening.
Yes, and when it comes to technology, we want it noted that Kenya is first. Yes. Mobile money transfer.
Hey,
we did it first. Hello, M-Pesa.
I definitely think there's a leaning towards marketplace, an expanding marketplace for creativity. It's something that I definitely feel the strong need for in Kenya. We just put on a festival that showed us that we're on the right track, because it's really incomplete to think about the production of books and not think about the marketplace. And festivals are the marketplace. Fairs are the marketplace for creativity. So with InSPIRe Charter, kind of trying to force us to make commitments to these things, to building a healthy festival marketplace, ecosystem for writers, for creatives, for building robust systems, kind of analyzing what we have, seeing its flaws, and fixing it with solutions that are ours. Because I do think that we have adopted stuff that's not necessarily relevant to us before we've kind of seen what works for our region. So there's one thing to want to do stuff, there's another thing to put your name down and be like, okay, now we're committing to doing this for the next few years, and that's some power behind that, I think.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think one of my favorite features of it is the commitment to also engage with the policy space.
Yes.
So to give you an example about the publishing market in Kenya, for instance, books are taxed at 16%. There is a real need to engage with government to make them understand that the commodification of books and literature specifically is not something that is that progressive. Yeah. So I think creating a space where we see engagement with policymakers as a very kind of necessary part of our ecosystem surviving is a big commitment that all of us should be making. Kenya, in fact, is one of, I believe, 3 countries that has such high levels of taxation on books. And it's definitely something to work towards eradicating.
Yeah, it pisses me off as a writer that the biggest barrier for Kenyans accessing my book is price, because it doesn't matter how we traveled the world looking for a way to bring the cost down. It doesn't matter how low you go, but when you hit the border and you have to pay taxes almost twice, and at 16%, it beats the purpose of trying to get the books to the people that you need them to. Libraries help, but lower taxes would be so much more effective. That's it's a big thing. I think the policy space is one that I am also very interested in kind of exploring and fighting a little more. Yeah. Fighting for.